Today is another day, and I'm privileged to have Mr. Asamoah-Yaw here with me today. I read one of his books today, and I need to interview him again. Mr. Asamoah-Yaw, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
All right, all right. So I read this book, A Biography of the Biblical God. A Biography of the Biblical God, and this is very thought-challenging. What do you mean by that? What does the book entails?
Well, like what people have labeled Asamoah-Yaw, they think I'm a controversial person, but controversy or controversial is a wrong title. You don't give that to someone who is seeking knowledge. I'm always trying to learn. It doesn't matter who you are, you're a child, you're an adult, educated, not educated, whoever you are. I want to learn something from you. So from my childhood, I've been learning all the time. Now this book came out of my curious mind that I have lived with all my life. That is I think it's better I explain a little bit of my background,
okay,
for you to understand the essence of this book.
All right.
Yeah. My mother's mother is my mother's father was a fetish priest, head of a fetish priest at Abodom Tigari. Kokumeno was a member of that Tigari body, and my mother's father was a Okonfo, I hope chief over me, a priest, a fetish priest. Yeah. And now me papa and so yeah, Abodom Methodist Church priest. Nana Asamoah. So you could see this preacher, Konfo, and the fetish priest daughter and a religious priest son. A Christian, yeah. So my background is a multiple of two religions, local religion and foreign religion. And my curiosity started from there. I used to ask my grandfather where children come from. And grandfather tried to tell me that children come from heaven and so forth.
Is this the grandfather from father's side or the mother's
side? My father's father.
Oh, that was the priest.
The priest, Methodist priest, a Christian. And he used to tell me that children come from heaven, God bring children, and that pass through hospitals and so forth to get children. A little confusing, like most fathers, what they do to their children. They don't tell the fact. And on my mother's side, my mother's father, he was telling me children come from in Samampum. There was a big forest at Abodom where I think it was a virgin forest.
Okay.
Nobody goes there. You can't farm.
You don't hunt. You don't do
yeah. So these people were confusing. Children come from here and so forth and so on. So I started finding out from the Holy Bible, which is my grandfather's Christian source of information.
Okay.
I read the Holy Bible as a child. I didn't understand it. I never stopped reading it. And also I followed my mother's side, this fetish priest thing. I went to the farthest extent. I went to Atakwame, Pevi, looking for source of power. They all told me that this God has power. The fetish God has power, and the Christian God has power. So I was a curious person trying to find out where the power comes from. On the religious side, Christian side, I initially didn't understand the Holy Bible. But while I was growing up, I was asking questions. Finally, I decided to read it as thorough as possible, especially after my retirement, which is 2004. I spent time to read the Holy Bible thoroughly. I've read it 5 times over, from Genesis to Revelation, all the 66 books. Well, why am I saying 66? They say 66 books, but I mean, if you look at some of the books, like 2nd John, for example, it has only 13 verses. 3rd John has, I think, 15 verses. Malachi has, I think, 23. I mean, how can you call a 15-verse text as a book? But let's put that aside. There are 66 books in the Holy Bible. I read them all of them. And I also searched the source of each book, trying to find out that God. What is it? Who is it? Why God? So after my search, not just Holy Bible, I went beyond the Holy Bible, how the Bible came about, who wrote it, when it was written, why it was written,
and all that.
how the whole story. I spent time, over 5 years, fishing deep into this God in the Holy Bible. And that book is the conclusion or my findings of the God in the Holy Bible.
Okay.
That is why I titled the book A Biography of the Biblical God. Now you might ask me, and not even you, people have been asking me, why biblical God? Why not God? Christians in particular think there's got to be just one God. But if you go to other religions, each one has its own God, with descriptions, different descriptions.
Like from tribe to tribe, traditions to traditions.
That, I haven't even gone there. But if you go there, there are over 7,000 cultures in the world. Ashanti culture is one of them. We are Ashanti, so Akan people. We have our own culture and we have our source of God. We call something Nyankopon or Ochediampon, as I say, whatever name you give it to it. Culturally, we have our own God. But somehow it's being tabooed, it's being thrown outside as if it's nothing. There are over 7,000 cultures and therefore 7,000 gods in the world, on this planet. But especially Christians, they don't get it. This book is such dynamic that when you put your mind to it, it's so difficult to really reason, to really think.
You mean the Bible?
If you put your mind or your faith in the Holy Bible, you can hardly think straight. All your thought will be shifted towards believe in God and everything that surrounds you. It's God made. Everything is God, 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 God. It does not make you think further or beyond God's realm.
Why do you say that?
Okay, now first of all, that question. Why do you say that? We have to understand what we mean by God. What is God? I thought you were going to ask me that question. Oh, I know it will come later on.
It will.
But let me explain God, what it means.
Okay.
Most dictionaries will define God as the omnipotent, the supreme power source, the creator, the
Elohim, the maker.
The maker of everything, and the supreme power that overrides every power on planet Earth. God is supposed to know what is coming tomorrow, next year, next 10 years. God knows everything. He has an infinite knowledge of everything. Everything that has happened or will happen or in the past. For centuries, God has, it's a kind of depository of all information.
Yes.
And all powers. Now, if we accept this definition of God, all powerful, all knowledgeable, all this,
omnipresent, omnipotent,
omni everything,
ever present.
if we accept this definition, now let's put that in our mind and then go into the Bible and see if anything or anyone described in the Bible. There are 1,426 names in the Holy Bible. 1,426 names in the Holy Bible.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, I have read your book, the Holy Bible. I've read it. And let us find out if there is any one of them who qualifies to be called God, who has this omni idea of being that powerful in that book. If you start from Genesis, you end up locating nothing other than fictional characters which traditionally we call provoking and ancestral. One, if you start from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, you see that there is a statement that has about 1,000 different questions. Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. And most people don't think of this. But you, the listener, please think of it. Just pause for a little while and think of that sentence. You will realize that it is not God who is saying, I, God, I created heaven and earth. Someone is reporting God's action at a given time in human history. Someone is telling you and I that God created heaven and earth. Question 1. Who is that someone who is giving that statement?
You mean the one writing it?
The one
reporting.
Reporting to you and I.
But Christians believe that these information are given to people by God.
Well, first we have to know God first. God is what? He knows all. He's an invisible thing you cannot see. So how can anybody bear evidence that God gave it to you? God gave that information to you. What is your evidence? You dreamt? Or
Christians believe in revelation and visions.
Well,
too.
I'm saying believing in ghosts and evils and all of these are just a perception in the human brain. It's an information that has been stored in the brain. But I'm saying to tell me that God revealed himself or herself or itself to a particular person, you have to justify.
Okay, I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean.
You cannot just tell me that God has made me the father or the priest or the bishop. That is not convincing enough. I'll be stupid to accept it. Coming to tell me that I'm a father, I'm a reverend, I'm a bishop because God has selected me. What makes you different from me? You have to show some evidence that God told somebody to write this. God told someone to report his action at a given time.
Okay. So therefore we need to know who the God is.
We need to know first who is reporting that first. And we check his source. Evidence to support what makes him authority to report that. Where did he get the information from?
Okay.
To tell me it's a dream, to me it's, well, sometimes it's childish to tell me that you had a dream. God revealed something to you in a dream that you are going to do this and that. It's childish to believe. Seriously. It means that any fool can come to you and say that God has selected me to be a priest. And exactly that's what's happening now.
So basically, you have an issue with the reporter and the fact that there's no evidence to back that, and the fact that we don't even know the God who is giving this authority.
Well, one, we don't know the reporter. Two, we don't know who that God is. Three, we don't know where he comes from. What was he like? And four, the content in the Holy Bible does not support the description of God. God is supposed to know everything. Everything ahead of time. Let me give you one example.
Okay.
This book of Genesis is telling us that God created heaven and earth and everything in it. There was complete darkness, and then there was light.
He called to be light.
He called.
Let there be light.
It's all reporting. Someone is reporting God's works, right? Mm-hmm. Now, then God created Adam. Adam, only one person, out of soil, and he molded it like you and I, and he
breathed through the nostrils.
Breathed through the nostrils, and this guy got up and started walking. And he was named Adam. Now, please, my dear listener, if God created Adam in his own image, can you please tell me how old was Adam when he first got up to walk? When he was first created, the first day, first second, Adam got up. Where is Adam's story? How old was Adam? Now let's please think about it. We all know how to create people. I have created 4 people. I slept with my wife, she became pregnant and had a baby. And the baby grows up. And you're telling me God created Adam and Adam just got up and started walking? Where is Adam's story in the Holy Bible? It's zeroed out. His life story is zero. None. Then later on, God realized that Adam was alone in the world. So he made Adam sleep. And he took one rib of Adam and converted it into a woman. There was no molding of anything, just one rib, because his God is a magician, just one rib, he say, hey, body come, and woman came. We don't know how woman was made. Only we are told by the Bible that God took one rib of Adam to create female for him, because God realized that Adam was lonely. And he made a garden for them to live in. Now remember, to qualify as a God, you know what is coming ahead of time. All of us, if God created us, God knows when we're going to die. Every minute God is aware of
about our life.
And God created this Garden of Eden for Adam and his wife to live in. And he says, all these trees that I have planted here, you can eat all of them except this one. Don't touch it. And please, let us use the box. Let us think. God knows ahead of time. He knows that inside the garden, all the trees, with the exception of one tree, he knows that Adam and Eve would eat the tree. Why did God put it there and test them? God knows very well.
God, that is his wish.
I'm saying he knows ahead of time what is coming. He knows that that tree that he is going to prevent these 2 guys not to touch, he knows the guys will touch it.
Yes.
And he knows that when they touch it, he will push them out of the garden and declare them redundant, or, he wouldn't care anymore. Mm-hmm. God is aware of all these ahead of time.
Yes.
And if you ask a Christian, why did God do that? Then they begin to think, God wanted to test them. Test what? God doesn't need a test. He has answers already. You and I are humans. We have limited knowledge. God has unlimited knowledge. He has no reason to test.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
So do you believe that there's a superpower called God?
There is none. Zero. There is no superpower anywhere in the spiritual world. I don't believe in spiritualism. Nothing exists in spiritual world. Zero. There's no ghost, no evil, no Satan, no God, no spiritual entity. It can only exist in this box. If from childhood you have been brainwashed, someone made a comment in one of our interviews that we have been programmed. Most people have been programmed that there is something called God and Satan and Satan. And they accept it as fact. It's so baffling. Why? I think we are all humans. The difference between humans and non-human beings is that humans are more rational. All beings are rational, but humans are more rational. We can judge what is good and what is right, what is wrong, what is good and bad and right and wrong. So we have to really judge before we say, yes, it is true. Yes, there is God. Yes, there is Satan. Yes, there is this. Don't just tell me Bible has written it, without verifiable evidence.
So how do you think human came into being?
Well, that is a different question altogether. I know this question is coming.
Yeah, because people believe that human beings were created by God, and then through Adam and Eve, we all came into being. That's what majority of the people believe. Christians believe that, Muslims believe that, and the Jewish people believe that. So what I'm saying is, in your description of this, how do you say human came into being?
Human beings like you and I.
Yes.
Most people on planet Earth now believe there is once a human history where there was no humans, and suddenly a human being came to being because someone called God created the first human being. The first idea is what puzzles most people. Now, I do not know for sure that humans came from here, from there, from here, or from anywhere. I don't have evidence to support that, but the biblical description has too many loopholes that makes it nonsense. For example, let me answer your question. Scientists tend to explain how humans came to this planet, or how humans evolve in this planet. That makes a little sense compared to this
Because the Bible,
biblical idea of humans. Science goes much further, and they're still investigating. They're still coming out with so many information as how humans came into being. My problem is that not until we have a very tangible, verifiable evidence to support that humans came from here, we should not claim to know where we come from, as Christians and other religious bodies claim. We don't have sufficient evidence to say that God made man or God made human beings. If you read the Bible, there are too many loopholes. Every sentence is questionable. So we should not believe it. But if you go into the sciences area, they're saying that there was, they call it the Big Bang Theory, or the, there are about 7 different theories on this, and I can't recall.
just give me one.
Yeah.
Give me one.
They say that this planet Earth is like other planets. We have thousands of planets. We have located a few of them now. There are millions others we don't know yet. They're still exploring. Scientists are still exploring the universe. They say that one of the planets is Earth. And there was a big explosion. Now, here again, you may ask scientists that what caused the explosion, why the explosion, what's the evidence, and so forth. There was this big explosion which made the earth split into so many parts. Like you have, if you look at the map of the Americas, North and South America,
Yes.
and you look at map of Africa, and you look at Europe, Australia, and so forth, if you want to bring them all close together, you see that the joints of each one appear to be fitting exactly into holes. Like North and South America if you bring it close to Europe and Africa, the joints fit in exactly like that. As if what the Big Bang theorists are saying is correct. Because it was one, the earth was one, and it exploded into several parts. But if you want to test to see the explosion actually occur, you see
so
that...
you mean if it's pushed together,
if you push them together, it fits into
Perfectly.
perfect, including Australia and all the other continents, all the 7 continents. You can, when you go, you look at it, world map, you see that if you bring them together, they form into a single unit. You see, so there is some evidence to support the Big Bang theories that there was a big explosion and then this world...
And that's where the division
came from. And they're saying that because of the atmospheric condition, there was rain, the moon and the sun are still there. The moon and the gaseous system created water, that is rain. The rain began falling on the earth, and over thousands of years, the water accumulated and also formed algae. In Chi, we call it apotobibri, and apotobibri. That greenish thing you find in river banks. And it began to form that, and these algae converted, or over time period, evolved into creatures, evolved into some kind of tiny fishes. They grew up over centuries, and they became big in the water. Some decided to live in the river surface, others decided to live inside the river, others over years grew and came onto the land surface, and the trees and plants began growing and so forth. The beginning of life. And if you really go deep into it, you see that life is a composition of water, earth, fire, or heat, and other gases. You know, without these things, there will be no life.
Yeah.
So science is trying to support this theory that human beings started from there. Now they're saying that the first human being actually evolved in southeastern part of Africa. They have got a skeleton, a fossil. It tells that this particular skeleton looks like a human being. It has a very long jawbone, and the head resembles a chimpanzee, and it's dated back about 300,000 years ago. And that is the closest skeleton they have found that resembles human being. So they're saying that humans started as animals, like apes. And over years, we evolved from walking on 2 hands and 2 legs, and eventually started walking on the legs. So the early humans had a longer hand which far exceeds the knee level, like the monkeys, you know. And over years, using the planetary resources, the hands became shorter, and some began to migrate from southeast of Africa and slowly move through northern Africa towards Morocco, to Europe, toward the Suez Canal area, to the Middle East and Australia and Europe and so forth. They're trying to tell us that humans evolved from the animal group. Not a single magician came to stand and say, "Hey man, come," like Adam.
And with what they are saying, they are supporting it with proof.
They are supporting that with proof.
So you believe in the Big Bang theory?
It makes sense.
Than the Bible.
More than the Bible.
Okay.
The Bible says it's so crazy. The Ashantis believe that we came from a big rocky cave at Asamoah-Yaw, Bekwai and Kokofu. Between Bekwai and Kokofu area, there's a town called Asamoah-Yaw. There's a forest called Asantemanso. Ashantis believe that that is our source. That's how we came. Until the white man brought this Bible to us. That is where we trace our source. If you ask a Ga person, he will tell you what his ancestors thought they came from. As the elders, or as any cultural group, including the English, the Welsh, the Irish, the Ionians, and so forth.
So before the Bible,
Yeah.
people know their source.
People knew their source.
And so what you're saying is now the Bible is confusing people from where actually they are from, or what they perceive the word from.
Well, confusion is a right word. I think the Bible is confusing people. It makes people throw away their ancestral explanation of their source. And I think it's wrong. The Bible story is not believable. And I don't know why.
State certain things in the Bible that makes you think it's not believable. You've
Okay.
already said something
Yes.
from Adam's experience.
All right. Now, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27.
Okay.
It says, now we are going to make human beings. Now we are going to make
Genesis
human beings.
1,
26 and
26
27.
and 27.
Yeah. Now we are going to make human beings. Now, Genesis is the first book of the Holy Bible,
Yes, sir.
or first among the Old Testament. The New Testament came at a later date. So, the Old Testament, according to Genesis, someone is saying that God says, now we are going to make human beings. They will look like us and resemble us. There is no human beings, so we, the word we in English, means more than one.
So you mean then there was a human being before that human being?
Well, then the writer made a mistake. If there wasn't another human being then, why should the writer use we?
You mean the pronoun we?
Yeah, it should have been I, God, I'm going to make human beings. But it says we are going to make human beings. You and who? God. You, God, and who?
Referring to God and the angels.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, we don't know angels. The angels had not been born yet. We don't know. From Genesis 1 to that point, we haven't seen angels being created. In fact, Adam had not even been created, because Adam was created Genesis 2:7. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 and 8. That is where Adam was created. And I'm talking about Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. And God says, we are going to make human beings. You, God, and who? Christians, I don't know. Christians' explanation of this is quoted from John, book of John, which is in New Testament. Book of John is saying that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and it was through the Word that everything came into being.
Yeah.
And that word, according to Christians, represents Christ. Meaning that when God was creating human beings in the book of Genesis, Jesus Christ was alive. So God is saying, me, God, and Christ, we are going to make human beings. But please, Christians, 2.1 billion people who call yourselves Christians, please rethink about it. If Jesus Christ was alive when God was creating heaven and earth, or the world, or when God was creating man, where was Mary, Jesus' mother? If Jesus was there, then Mary too was there. Because Jesus Christ came from a woman's womb. You cannot have Jesus Christ without Mary. It's an impossibility.
But you know, the Bible sometimes talks from the spiritual point of view, though. And the spiritual point of view is what we don't know.
Well, Kwame, the spiritual entity that we have it, they break this name Jesus Christ into two parts. They said Christ
It's three parts.
is representative. Christ is representing the spiritual part of Jesus. So Christ as a spirit was alive when God was creating man. So there was Christ in this sense before Jesus. So Christ was alive. This is Christian's explanation. Christ was there. Christ as a spirit was there with God when God was creating human beings. But the funniest thing I found is that the word man and the word W-O-R-D and and human come from a Hebrew word called Alma. Alma means three different things. Why did the author pick the word and represented the word with Christ, saying that Christ was alive when God was creating man? Do you get my point?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm saying, look, it is an impossible situation. God couldn't create man. Again, there's a big question mark. If you go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 17, it says that Enoch and his wife had a son.
This is Genesis 4:17.
Yes.
Okay.
No, he says Cain. I'm sorry, not Enoch. Please, correction here. Cain and his wife had a child, and they named the child Enoch. Listen carefully. Cain and his wife had a child, and the child was named Enoch. We have Enosh and Enoch. I'm talking about Enoch.
Enoch as a person.
Yes. Now, at this point, now let's examine a few things. The first human being, according to the Bible, is Adam. Second human being was Cain. Eve. I'm sorry. And the third person was Cain. The fourth was Abel. So we have Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. The fifth person is Enoch. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
The fifth person is Cain and his wife's son, which was named Enoch. Now, at this point, there's only one female who is mentioned among the 5 people on planet at the time.
And that was Eve.
And that was Eve. And Cain and his wife had a child, a male child. They named the child Enoch. Who was that wife they're talking about? Who was Cain's wife? Was there another human family where Cain picked his wife, or Cain and his mother had sex and they had a child, or Cain married his mother and had a child with? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're
saying. So there is a whole lot of complications.
So could it be that there's a possibility that the Bible didn't really want to emphasize on certain characters in the Bible?
Why not?
Because maybe they are not that significant today.
Not that significant, sir. Do you think Adam's story in the Holy Bible is not significant? Do you think Eve's story in the Bible is not significant? Do you think Jesus Christ's story is insignificant? Moses' life insignificant?
People think that if we had to go that route, then we can't even get a book for it.
That is why I want you guys to think before you said you have read the Holy Bible. Because all the significant personalities in the Holy Bible have their stories deleted in the Holy Bible. Completely. Adam's story is missing. Eve's story is missing. Cain's story is missing. Abel's story is missing. If you stop there and go back or go a little forward, you will see that this so-called God of Israel and his Moses, their stories are missing. We don't know Moses' mother or his father. And if you go to New Testament,
the Bible made mention of Moses' mother in the Bible, though.
No,
right?
no.
Never mentioned Moses'
No. It's never mentioned. All the Bible says that the king's daughter went to the riverside to bath.
Baby Moses.
And she had attendants with her when she went to the stream or the river, and they heard a baby screaming at the riverbank. And the princess asked one of the attendants to go and see what is making that noise. And she thinks it is probably one of the Jewish children.
So she thought it was a thought.
I thought one of the Jewish children that has been brought down here to avoid being killed. And when this attendant went there, she found about a 5-year-old girl standing by a basket which had a baby inside. The 5-year-old girl said that the mother told her to bring the child there. We don't know who this 5-year-old girl is. We don't know the mother. We don't know the father. And the princess named this baby in the court Moses. Moses in Egyptian word means I found it. So it's the princess who gave this name to Moses. Moses lived in the king's palace until he grew old and married somebody over there. He became a shepherd. And when Moses was taking the sheep to feed them, he saw a fire by the roadside. There's always fire in all these streets. Fire, and the noise was coming from the fire. And Moses said, "Who are you? Who are you? What's that?" And a voice came from the fire. He said, I am. And he looked at all of this.
And take off your sandals.
This is, please, if we really think. We don't know Moses' story. We don't know Moses even existed. It's a fiction. Moses.
So why do you think all this was made? If you think it was a fiction, do you think there's a reason why this was made?
Yes, it had to be made to be believable. But do you believe it?
Why would it be made?
Well, you see, every culture has a reason to explain its source. Every culture, like I'm saying, every culture has a religion, and they have a way of explaining what that religion is. This biblical content is all Jewish religion. It's pure Jewish religion. It has no link with any other culture. Only that the Jews are very smart. They have been able to spread this news. You know, but when I'm saying Jewish, there are about 11 or 12 different tribes among the Jews.
12.
Yeah. Well, if you read the Bible, sometimes it says 11. Yes. So many tribes. And each one has a different belief system. The Hasidic Jews, for example, don't believe that this God is real. They're still waiting for the Christ to be born. Yes, according to Jews, the Christ is not born. He is not born yet. They're still waiting for the messenger. That is why the Jews then, according to the story, they captured Jesus Christ and had him tried, and they killed him because he was an impostor according to this Bible.
And to them, they thought it was blasphemy.
Yes.
You said Jesus' story is missing from the Bible. What do you mean by that?
Well, we are cutting it short and short because of time, and I understand that Jesus Christ story is not in the Bible because the 27 books in the New Testament is the only place you can find description of a character called Jesus Christ. All the 39 books from Genesis to Malachi, none has mentioned a word called Jesus. There is messenger and whatever names, Emmanuel.
But there was a description that was given before by prophets like Isaiah that
yes,
somebody will be born with this type of descriptions.
You're right, you have read something. But Jesus' story, according to Mark and Luke, Jesus is the promised Messiah because in the Old Testament, the book of Isaiah and Jeremiah in particular have said that there are 3 ways you can know that the child or the messenger has been born. 3. Bear in mind also that the book of Isaiah was not written by Isaiah. It was written by somebody who is revealing Isaiah's dreams. If you read Good News Bible, every chapter has an introduction note. It will tell you that book of Isaiah has at least 3 separate books. But I personally think that it has 10 separate books. There is a promise in the book of Isaiah that a young woman, a young female will bring forth a child, a male child. And that young female has been named as a virgin. But the name that is used in the Bible, a Jewish word, it means a young woman, not necessarily a virgin. A young woman will have a child, and the child shall be called Emmanuel. And this child shall be born in Bethlehem. So the young woman has been replaced with virgin in the New Testament. Let's say virgin.
So you mean this is the Old Testament
Yes.
saying a woman, a young woman.
Yes.
And the New Testament is saying a virgin.
Yes.
Can you quote? Do you know the quote? If you can. Recall.
Well, especially if you read Good News Bible. Good News Bible is using a young woman, not necessarily a virgin. But if you go to King James versions and other standard Bibles, they use virgin straight away. But that is not even very important to me. Let's say a young woman who has never had sex will have a son. That is one of the promise that in the book of Isaiah, to testify that this son is the messenger or the Messiah who is coming to lead the Jews from their enslavement. And 2, the child shall be born in Bethlehem. The third one is very, very crucial. Christians, please listen. The third one is that that child will come from David's ancestry. So if a child is born by a virgin in Bethlehem and the child is from David's ancestry, it means that that child is the prophesied person that Isaiah and Jeremiah are talking about. So here, let's examine it. Book of Matthew is saying that if you go to 14 generations, and another 14 generations, and another 14 generations, if you calculate it, it's about 42 generations, you will see that Joseph, who is the father of Jesus, Joseph, his ancestors, is from David. David,
Jesse.
yes, Joseph is from David's ancestry. And it is true that David is from, Joseph is from David's ancestry. So, if you go to, as Matthew, Luke, if you go to Luke, Luke is saying that if you go to history, 77 generations. Matthew says 42 generations, that's 14 generations. And this guy is saying if you go there 77 generations, you see that Joseph, who is the father of Jesus, truly come from David's ancestry.
So you mean it's contradicting itself?
No, not the 42 and 77. I'm not questioning that. But the contradiction is this. The two witnesses, Matthew and Luke, are saying that if you take Joseph and trace Joseph's ancestry, Joseph is from David, and it is a fact. But please, Christians, David and Mary did not have sex.
Joseph. Joseph.
Joseph and Mary did not have sex. So Jesus Christ genealogy. Jesus
could not be from David.
It could not be from Joseph. In other words, if Joseph had sex with Mary and you're using Joseph to trace to David, then I understand it. But Mary and Joseph did not sleep.
And then she was supposed to be a virgin.
And she was supposed to be a virgin. So, if you really want to testify that Jesus is from David's ancestry, you have to test it with Mary. But Mary is from Benjamin family.
The last tribe.
Mary is from Benjamin family. So the Jews are saying that since Mary was a virgin, and Mary is the only one who brought forth this child, and Mary is from Benjamin, this person that you call Jesus Christ is an impostor.
And it cannot be the Messiah.
It cannot be the Messiah.
Isaiah had already prophesied that going to be from David.
From David. That's the prophecy. Isaiah says from David's ancestry. Jeremiah supports that.
The same thing too.
Yes. But you see, Christians don't want to rationalize on this issue. The Jews are still waiting for the Messiah. They're still waiting for the Christ. That is why they took Jesus to, supposedly, they took him to Pontius Pilate for trial.
So he could be killed.
So he could be killed, and Pontius Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews? Are you the Messiah?" And incidentally, so surprisingly, Jesus did not say yes. Jesus said, "You are saying it. It is you, Pontius Pilate, who is saying it. I'm not saying it." He is not committing himself that he is the Messiah.
So you mean Jesus didn't commit himself?
No.
He didn't accept that title that he is the Messiah.
He did not accept it. And even, I think in the book of Matthew somewhere, I forgot the exact quotation, a young lady met Jesus Christ. And he said, "Oh my Lord, how do I
Is it the woman from Samaria?
I don't...
At the Jacob's well?
Yes, I think. Yeah. This young woman asked Jesus, he says, "My Lord, how can I be good?" or something like that. And Jesus, "No. Who said I'm good?"
Yeah.
Jesus did not even accept that he is good or he is the Messiah. But Paul was a human character. I have read Paul's history. He was born in Turkey. He's a Jew. Like most of the early Christians were all Turkish. Paul is amplifying Jesus' story to make the whole world believe that it is real. And he did that because of money. He wants a profession. He wants to live.
I think Jesus at the point accepted worship.
Accepted
Worship. Somebody worship him.
Uh-huh.
The guy who Jesus healed from the blind.
Yeah.
And when he met Jesus Christ in the crowd, and he said, "So do you believe you have been healed?" And the guy said, "Yes, I believe I've been healed." He said, "So do you know the person who healed you?" He said, "No, I don't know the person." He said, "I am the person." The guy bowed before him, worshiping. Jesus Christ accepted the worship that he's got.
That is a story. It's a story. There are so many hundreds of stories being said by the four witnesses of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
The gospel.
The gospel. They are giving us so many testimonies of Jesus' miracles. But it is interesting for you guys to know that Jesus did not perform a single miracle until he was 30. At the age of 30, that Jesus supposedly performed his miracles. But my good friends, if Jesus was really a human being and he lived 29 years on this planet Earth, and we don't know what he was doing all these 29 years, and we don't know Jesus Christ's life. When I ask you, where was Jesus Christ when he was 17 or 18? You would tell me stories from your mind that, oh, he was with his father, he was being a carpenter. You don't know for sure, it is not there. Jesus' story is completely missing in the Holy Bible. For example, the day Jesus was born has been mentioned. When he was 2 years, we don't know. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's all missing. From 2 to 11 is missing in the Holy Bible. We don't know. He is mentioned when he was 12. Every Jew, they have a ceremony for a Jew who is 12 years. When you're male or female, they call something bar mitzvah. That is why the 12th year of Jesus is mentioned. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, all the teenage life of Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Holy Bible. And you and I have been teenagers before.
That's a vital time in life, huh?
Man, that is where you show your sexuality, that you are a man or you're a woman, you know. You have hormones that attract to the opposite sex. Jesus' life as a teenager is missing. 13 to 19. Nobody can say for sure that Jesus lived here or there when he was 13 to 19. Now, let's go to 20. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. It's all missing. So from 13 to 29, Jesus' life is missing. Now, if this guy was a real human being, and you Christians claim that you know him, and you're supporting him, you know his story, can you tell me where this guy was in his teenage life and his 20s? Can you really honestly support this with any evidence? At the age of 30 is the time when this guy started to perform miracles.
He came back for the baptism.
Yeah. And 31 is missing. 32 is missing. Then you go to the age of 33 when he died.
I think 30 was where he get baptized and he started doing
things.
Work.
Yeah. So, please, rational people, it is okay to be human beings, but it is not okay, not being a human when you are not really rationalizing deeply. And Asamoah-Yaw uses this word critical thinking all the time. Let us be critical thinkers. Don't just say because of faith, I have faith that Christ is whatever. Don't just say that. Think. Jesus Christ is not known. Do you know someone has written a book? In fact, part of this book is found in Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. This guy is saying that Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene. And they had 5 children. The last child was called Sarah. It's believed that this Sarah was given birth in France. At the time, that area was called Gaul, G-A-U-L. And as we're talking now, some part of France, the southern France, there's a province called Syrian province. I believe every 5 years they have a golden score of Mary Magdalene. They parade all the cities in commemoration of Mary Magdalene's daughter Sarah. She brought forth this girl named the girl Sarah, and the area is called Syria or Syrian province. Now, for Christians to hear that Jesus Christ had 5 children, it's a blasphemy.
That's somebody's idea.
Yeah.
That's somebody's opinion.
Yes. And this guy goes further to say that when Jesus Christ was on the cross, Mary Magdalene was pregnant 3 months. That is where she had this. She was pregnant with Sarah. And Peter and others ran away with her to Gaul or France to have this child. Now, since the Bible story does not include Jesus Christ's life story, one is tend to believe any story that comes from anywhere. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you are saying, but Christians don't understand what you are saying because they believe that the biblical, Jesus Christ, the characteristics of Jesus Christ, will not suit that description.
It won't suit. Yes, definitely, it will not suit, because to say that Jesus Christ used his this thing for women, other than that urinating in it, it's a blasphemy. But if this man was a human being, please, my question, if Jesus Christ was a real human being like you and I, and Bible claims to know about this guy, what prevents Holy Bible from not revealing Jesus Christ's life from the age of 13 to 29? It is a puzzle. It is a puzzle, and it starts from beginning. When you read my book, you read it. I mentioned a guy called Irenaeus. Irenaeus was also a Turkish Jew. He was a bishop. He died in France. There's a town called Lognum in France, and he's the one who started to collect information about biblical people. He said that the first one he came across was Mark. So really, in compiling the Bible, Mark should have come first before Matthew, but they didn't do it that way. So he says that, look, of all the collections he has made, he thinks that it is not important to talk about personalities of Jesus Christ's time, like Paul, Joseph, Mary, Peter, Benjamin, this and that. It is not, he is not interested in personalities. He is interested only in the works that they did.
Yes.
But isn't it interesting?
You
If
have
you
to
know-
believe in the personality before the work.
Of course. And why are you hiding it? If you're talking about Asamoah-Yaw, when you go to America and you're talking about Asamoah-Yaw, and they ask you, do you know this Asamoah-Yaw? You say, yes, I've met him in person. You know, he's about 5'4". He's that, he lives here. You have evidence. But to tell them what Asamoah-Yaw had done, the books he has written, just talking about the books. And when they ask you anything about me,
Without a character.
Man, you're making a terrible mistake. I think the people who compiled the Holy Bible deliberately took aside Jesus' personality or personal life. Because, seriously, if they tell the whole truth, there will be virtually no support of this Christian thing.
So you mean that everything was manipulated to suit a personal agenda?
Yes, and also it takes a critical thinker to understand it. Let me give you one example.
Okay.
I think it's John chapter 2. John chapter 2 or 12. It says, there was wedding in Cana. And at that wedding, Jesus' mother was there. Jesus and his disciples were invited to the party. Listen carefully though. It appears that the person who is telling the story knows exactly what happened. Jesus' mother was there at the party. Jesus and his disciples were invited guests to the party. And at the party, they ran short of drinks. So the servers, people who were serving drinks out there, went to Jesus' mother and told her that they have run short of drinks. And Jesus was standing by, and he heard the girls telling the mother that they have run short of drinks. So the mother did not even utter a word. Then Jesus stepped in and said, my time is not up yet. Why are you bothering me? Now the girls did not ask Jesus or talk to Jesus.
Didn't Jesus' mother talk to Jesus?
Before that. And then Jesus' mother said, do whatever he tells you to do. Go and read it, you see. I've mentioned that in my book.
Okay.
And then the girls said, the girls were there, and Jesus said, look, do you have the big drums that we bath in here? You know, the bathtubs? And the girls said, yes, we have. We have 6 of them. And he says, go and fill them all with water. They filled them all with water and came to tell Jesus that they have filled it. And Jesus told them to go and take some and give to the master of ceremony.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's a big party,
Yeah.
there's an MC at the party who is responsible for everything in the party.
Organization of the party.
So the girls should have gone to the MC first, that we have run short of drinks. You know, if you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm
Yeah.
getting what you're trying to say. Instead of going to Jesus'
to Jesus' mother.
What if people also say that they believe Jesus could do something?
Yes. Yes, but the girls went to Jesus' mother. Now here again, Jesus' mother was there. In what capacity was she there?
So you mean who was she to the party?
Who was she to the party?
That she has to be consulted.
To be consulted. Now I'll tell you an interpretation of this by other writers. So they got some of the water which has turned into wine and gave it to the MC. The MC drank it and said, oh, he turned to Jesus. He said, oh, most people when organizing a party like this, they bring the best wine first. And when everybody is drunk, then they bring the not so good wine later. But you, that means Jesus, you have brought.
So you mean Jesus was organizing the party?
Jesus was marrying Mary Magdalene at the time. And Jesus' mother was organizing the party. Well, you see this?
So now you confusing me now.
No, what I'm saying.
so now you confusing me now.
What I'm saying.
So what you're trying to say is the Bible is reporting that. When you look at the Bible, it's reporting that there was a ceremony.
There was a wedding ceremony.
There was a wedding ceremony that Jesus and the disciples were invited. They were just guests.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they ran out of drinks.
Mm-hmm.
They consulted Jesus' mother.
Mm-hmm.
So you are connecting that. Why would they consult Jesus' mother when a mere visitor comes to a party and we short drinks? Why do we consult a visitor? Okay, now, the drinks, whatever the miracles have been performed.
Yeah.
And therefore, you will link it to the fact that it was an arrangement made between Jesus and the family. They weren't guests.
The whole thing is this. If you mention this text to anybody, he says, oh, that is where Jesus performed his first miracle.
Yeah.
But please think. There was no need for Jesus to perform any miracle. Nobody asked him to do it. What the Bible wants to tell us that the one who is writing that story in the Bible knows exactly who was wedding or marrying at the time. But to tell the public that Jesus was getting married to Mary Magdalene, it's crazy. So they want you to think who is actually getting married.
So how do you then connect Mary Magdalene to this story though?
Well, Mary Magdalene, if you look at this tiny story about Mary Magdalene in the New Testament, you see that she was the first person to go to the tomb when Jesus, the third day, Jesus rose up. Yeah. And she was also the first person who fell down at the cross crying. And Mary Magdalene is playing.
Mary Magdalene is always wherever Jesus
always present where Jesus is. I believe she was a financier, according to one of the texts in the Bible. You know, Mary Magdalene's story is marginalized because if you tell the truth, like Irenaeus was saying, if you go to Jesus' personal life story, Mary Magdalene will show prominently out there.
So let's assume that Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene. Let's assume that. Mm-hmm. Does it change the fact that Jesus Christ came to perform miracles and he did what he was supposed to do? Let's assume that.
Well, these miracle things, it's not extraordinary at the time. There's a guy called Simeon in the Holy Bible who was very good in magic. And someone is also saying Jesus met John the Baptist in Egypt, and they were there to learn magic. Someone is even speculating that Jesus and some of his disciples went to India to study magic. Magic at the time was very common at the time. Simon is mentioned in the Bible. He was a famous magician. So Jesus, if he was a human
Performing
being,
miracle wasn't
a big deal.
really.
And Jesus has been promoted to be something so gigantic as some invisible, I don't know, something else. And
Because the Bible says Jesus is God, and then if Jesus is God, then he has to be promoted as something big.
even Jesus himself did not say that he was God. He did not say that he was God anywhere. There's nowhere.
Aaron Pankasa.
Jesus, oh my good brother, there's nowhere in the Holy Bible that Jesus called himself Christ. Nowhere, or God.
So you mean the name was made for him?
Made for him.
Society made him who he was.
Yes, the Bible is saying, Jesus always said, my Father, my Father, my Father. My Lord. Jesus never called himself the Lord. Someone addressed Jesus as the Lord. He says he's not the Lord. He's only my Father. So why modern people Sunday, like today, everybody's holding Bible, Jesus, 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 and they're saying that at an expense. Young people have dressed like a bishop. You go there, you don't pay money. Next time, he will not expect you to come to the church.
The Bible said that though.
They're using, yes, it is money-making machine. Unfortunately, most Christians are females. And I thought females are smarter than men. But when you go to religion, well, I don't know what to say. People are cheating the world, cheating women and men. I'm surprised to see someone grown up like a 50, 60, 70-year-old person going to church. A church, the pastor is only about 25 or under 30. I mean, this guy didn't even go to secondary school. He's using Bible as a tool to make money. It's crazy.
So, since you don't believe in God, what do you think controls the world? Because I believe even in physicalities, we have authorities. So what do you think controls all this unforeseen authority?
Kwame, there are many things in this world that you and I cannot explain why they happen. But to tell me it is God without evidence is short-sightedness. Because you don't have answer, you don't have evidence. Let us keep on probing. Because there are people who are really thinking, they have probed deeper. They know why we have rain. They can predict that it's going to rain next 4 hours or 2 hours. Because they know the composition of the climate, what makes rain rain. They will say that there will be wind here, lightning there, earthquake here, tsunamis and so forth. And it comes true. People are understanding nature now better than before. God issue came in when human intelligence was so low, we didn't know the causes of events. There's still many things that we don't understand why it happens. But please don't give it to God.
Somebody that I talked to, who even read your book before, a friend on Facebook.
Okay.
He said he think you are writing this book because when you came from America, you noticed religion has made people in Africa, especially in Ghana, lazy. So you just want to bring something out to take their mind out of that to promote hard work.
Well, I think he's right to a very great extent. If you read my conclusions, I'm saying that you don't need God to progress. You don't need God to be successful. What you need is you have to have a dream of what you want to be in future and follow your dream. Keep asking questions. God is non-existence. If you put your faith in God or Christ or whatever, you're most likely going to fail, because when you reach a certain point, you're going to say, oh man, I've done what I have to do. God, I'm so tired. I need your help now. Do the rest for me. And you'll be sitting down without anything happening. Take yourself away from God and all these faiths and stay focused. Keep thinking all the time. Every damn thing is possible. But if you rely on God, man, you will freeze. Keep praying, keep fasting, keep mention God, God, God every day. I see people on Sunday holding Holy Bible, crossing every day, everywhere. God, 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 God. There's a woman who lives close by. She's always carrying the Holy Bible. She has never been to school. But she thinks there's something in the Holy Bible that will help her. Isn't it crazy?
It's nice talking to you, Mr. Asamoah-Yaw.
Don't you think it's crazy?
I don't think so. I'll let the viewers decide for that.
People, please viewers, I want you to think. Think. Everything is possible. If you rely on religious principles, I guarantee you will fail. Especially if you rely on it without action. But if you rely with your faith and put action, if you don't emphasize on action, work strictly on your act and depend on this spiritual thing, you will fail. There is no God, no Satan, no angels, no nothing. It is you. This box.
The power is in you.
The power is in you, in your hands. It is up to you. If you can't do it, it means you don't have the information here. Ask.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome,
Nice
sir.
having you all the time.